before we begin, allow me to share with you some background on the topic that we will be discussing in this session. One of the most obvious consequences of the current COVID-19 pandemic is the infusion of data-enabled services into ever more aspects of life. We expect digital transformation to be an even bigger imperative for organizations as they strive to accelerate their post-pandemic economic recovery efforts. This leads us to a very important question. How will employees adapt to this transformation? And what roles can businesses and industry leaders play in driving the 2030 workforce? These are some of the questions that will be explored, discussed, and answered in today's session titled Balancing Three Symbiotic Elements: Work, Workers, and Workplace. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions to our panelists, you may submit them via Slido by scanning the displayed QR code on the screen. You can do this throughout the session, and the questions will be answered at the end of the session. If you're ready with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the moderator for today's session, the second session this afternoon, Professor Foo Ngee Kee, Founding President, Sabah SME Association. And I'd like to invite our first panelist, Mr. Timothy Teo, Assistant Managing Director, Borneo Eco Tours. And let's welcome Professor Dr. Moni bin Haji Cambrie, Chairman, Sidmar College. Yes, you can clap as loud as you want as we welcome the panelists. You're welcome. And let's invite Madam Vivianti Sarjuni, General Manager, Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Hub. So, if everyone is ready, Professor Foo, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, MC.
The floor is all yours. Please give them a big round of applause to get started.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon. I'm sure all of you had a sumptuous lunch provided by HRD Corp. I hope you will stay alive because we have very exciting, distinguished speakers to fill your mind with ideas to overcome the difficulties and some of the problems that you may have encountered throughout this pandemic. So pay attention, lend them your ears. I'm sure they will delight you with their presentations. In opening, I would like to share some views as an employer. I think the business scene has never been the same since the pandemic. And then we hear new terms like MCO, lockdown, SOP, physical distancing, work from home, and percentage of capacity workforce allowed. So a lot of businesses shuttered due to the lockdowns and MCOs. But I'm glad to say that many Sabah SMEs are still up and standing. So these are the fine examples. They are still here today, able to tell us how they weather the storm and what and how did they pull through. So of course, there will be some transformation stories to share. Likewise, not just employers, many employees too lost their jobs and were unemployed. Okay? So, but now the good news I heard is that hospitality businesses are short of workers. They cannot seem to find enough workers. So those of you who are still looking for a job, do approach the hospitality people. The jobs are there waiting for you. And why it's so drastic is because it caught everybody by surprise. Okay? I think Sabah's economy was doing well. In particular, the tourism was at its peak with 600,000 Chinese tourists and about 250,000 Korean tourists coming. So everybody was investing to expand their fleet of vehicles and so on. And then suddenly, without prior notice, the lockdown sets in March 2020. this is a very painful wake-up call. I won't add on more because the CEO this morning has addressed us with all these COVID-driven changes. Likewise, the Chief Operating Officer and also the MC has alluded to why we are here today is to reset. Reset means we need to work with the current new scenario, with the pandemic, live and embrace the virus, so to say. Okay, mask is still the order of the day. Okay, without taking up any more time, I will just share with you today we have three very distinguished panel speakers. They will share their views and ideas on how the pandemic has changed the three primarily symbiotic elements of work, workers, and workforce. Our first panelist speaker, Mr. Timothy Teo, Assistant MD of Borneo Eco Tours, Sdn Bhd, will focus his views primarily on the work element. Following that, Professor Dr. Monique Cambrie, Chairman of Sidma College, will share his views primarily on the workers element. Last but not least, I think the one that had the loudest applause, Miss Vivianti Sajuni, will share her views on the workplace element. In their sharing, the panelists will cover these various areas. They will highlight the importance of upskilling and reskilling to adapt to the future of work and address the skill gaps and that the employers is looking for, and how to overcome it. The second area is to achieve a digital state of mind by catalyzing tech-enabled transformations for upskilling and reskilling. And they demonstrate also the power of digital innovation to produce a robust tech-driven workforce. And they will share their industry best practices on how to prepare the workplace that is suitable and ready for upskilling and reskilling. They will also design rapid high-tech thinking and agile methodologies to unbundle ancestral mindsets. Quite a lot for them to cover, but I assure you that they have done their work. So you have to do your work by staying awake and listening to them, to do justice to them, because they are all honorarium, no fees. Okay, allow me to start off by introducing our first panelist for today. A short introduction. Timothy Teo completed his MBA at the Australian Graduate School of Management and is the Assistant Managing Director of Borneo Eco Tours and award-winning Eco Lodge, Sukau Rainforest Lodge. Coming from a civil engineering background, Timothy first worked as a consultant in Sydney for several years before becoming part of Sabah's tourism industries for the last 12 years. In the last 10 years, the world has become completely digitized in the way business is done. Timothy spearheads the digital transformation at Borneo Eco Tours, helping steer the company through major changes in markets, technology adoption, and scaling to grow in this new world. Having navigated successfully through the COVID-19 crisis, Timothy is keen to share his insights and experiences of thriving in adversity. In June 2021, Timothy joined the Asian Ecotourism Network as a board member. The Asian Ecotourism Network is a regional initiative with a mission to connect and network ecotourism players to advocate for sustainable tourism. Timothy hopes that this prestigious appointment will continue to place Borneo Eco Tours and Sukau Rainforest Lodge at the forefront of shaping ecotourism globally while also ensuring a global standard in Borneo. Just a brief for you to add on. What do you do for your current company, Timothy?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So, just as a quick intro, I am the Assistant Managing Director for Borneo Eco Tours and Sukau Rainforest Lodge. And what does that mean? It means doing all the messy things that no one else wants to do, basically. And all the hard decisions and that no one wants to make, I have to make them. Sometimes they're good decisions and sometimes they're bad decisions, and I live by my mistakes as well.
Okay, let me introduce our second speaker, who is no stranger, right? I met a couple of his students just now. So, very senior professor. Our second panelist, Dr. Monique Cambrie, will focus his presentation later, primarily on the workers. A brief introduction of Dr. Monique Cambrie. He was born in Miri in 1956. Dr. Monique is the adjunct professor of Uni Razak, or University Tun Abdul Razak. His education spans several schools in Sarawak and culminated in St. Joseph's Secondary School, Kuching, where he completed Form 5 in 1973, and on to College Tun Tuanku Haji Bujang in Miri for the Form 6 Upper in 1975. Dr. Monique has a Chartered Institute of Transport qualification, as well as the Advanced Diploma in Transport Studies of the University of London. He went on to Scotland to do the MBA at Stirling University. His last academic achievement was the PhD in Entrepreneurship, which he completed also at Stirling University in 1990. Dr. Monique's career started as a lecturer with UiTM in 1980, after which he joined Petronas for 4 years as a marketing executive in Kuching between 1981 to 1984. He left Petronas to start his own business in the middle of 1984, but continued to offer part-time lecturing to UiTM during that period. Upon completing his PhD, Dr. Monique was engaged by SEDC Sarawak for a while before being seconded to the Chief Minister's Office as the Pegawai Tabir Khas, or Special Administrative Officer to the Sarawak Chief Minister from 1991 until 1993. Upon returning to SEDC in 1993, he assumed the post of Director of the Tourism and Leisure Division, and later the BCIC Division, and the Bumiputera Entrepreneur Development Unit in SEDC. And also during his stint in SEDC, Dr. Monique sat on the board of 29 SEDC subsidiaries, including 2 public listed companies. And between October 1994 and October 1996, Dr. Monique was engaged as an independent international consultant to the Philippine government. And this project was called Growth with Equity in Mindanao and was funded by the Louis Berger Corporation of United States of America. Dr. Monique's main task was to act as a consultant for the enterprise development of the Muslim minority areas of southern Philippines, which is now known as Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. He also acted as lead researcher for the Rural Growth Center Research, which was awarded by the Sarawak government from 1997 to 2001. Besides the above, Dr. Monique also continued as part-time lecturer in UiTM and several other universities, including Edith Cowan University, Australia, MBA program in Kota Kinabalu, Bath University KK for his MBA program in KL, as well as UNIMAS. Between 2006 to 2017, Dr. Monique was appointed as one of the advisors to the education sector of the Sabah Women Council. He now owns majority shares in Sidma College Sabah and Sarawak, which runs degree programs for Uni Razak or University Tun Abdul Razak. His hobbies are singing, cooking, and deep sea fishing. Wow, quite a long CV. Have a long career. Okay, Dr. Monique, would you like to add to that?
This one. I'm a strategist. I like strategy. I like to think of the future. I like to think of what happens in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and that prepares me for the next, what I'm going to do next. That's me. That's just me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Monique. Now for the lady on our panel, the only lady, Viviente has broad background specialized in education, community and capacity building. By the way, Viviente will be primarily focusing in her presentation on the workplace. Okay? She's currently leading Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Centre as a general manager. Prior to coming back to serve her home state, Viviente was a program manager in Magic, served as mentor in residence and responsible in planning of entrepreneurship and community building programs nationwide. In addition, she has 20 years of working experience at all levels in various industries: tourism, cybersecurity, international contact center management, education, and entrepreneurship. Currently, Viviente is leading Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Centre, or in brief, CINIC, by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation Sabah, as General Manager, responsible in pushing the agenda of innovation and creativity across Sabah. This initiative was approved by Sabah Cabinet and is actively running capacity building programs and partnerships across Malaysia. She has also been appointed as chairperson of Technology Application Technical Committee, Technology Transfer and Commercialization under the Sabah Technology and Innovation Development Council to the Sabah Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Would you like to add on to that, Viviente?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Prof. Fu. This chair is very comfortable. I feel like almost tenggelam. But I think Prof. Fu has properly introduced me and nothing to add. I just want to say I can't wait to have a conversation with all of you, not only with the panelists, but with all of the audience. And I think we have people coming all the way from Labuan. So a big round of applause for, those who are coming from far. I think nothing much to say. I just want to say that we are from Sabah. Together with the community builders and industry players, we lead Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Centre. If you know MDEC or MAGIC at federal level, our role is similar to that as well, but we have more pillars that we champion. Other than just technology and innovation-driven entrepreneurship, we also have creative pillar in Sabah. So thank you so much, Prof. Can't wait to have a conversation with all of you.
Thank you. So you see, I promised you a very distinguished panel. You look at the CVs. This is a shortened version. If it's longer one, I think it may take another twice the amount of time to cover. But nevertheless, I'm sure you are here to listen to the ideas. So we have mandatory areas for all the three speakers, panelists, to cover. That is, they are to cover in their presentations, where are the jobs over the next few years? I'm sure this is the question that many of us want to know. And then what are the jobs that are going away? And then what should a person be reading about? If you were to upskill or reskill, what are the skills that you need now, so that you will be in good position to capture those new jobs that are coming. From a Malaysian context, what industry is the best, or sunrise, or what type of work should we be focusing on? So in that context, the speaker one, that is Timothy, will focus primarily on work. And speaker two, Professor Dr. Monique, will focus his presentation primarily on workers. And Viviente, the speaker three, will focus her presentation primarily on the workplace. So, are you all ready? Okay, good. So over to you, Timothy. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fu. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for lending me your ears, especially after lunch. I know it's not an easy session for all of us, and hopefully I'm mindful that my audience, some of you may be business owners or leaders of organizations, some of you may be managers, HR managers, and some of you may be starting out your careers. And so I hope that today you can have a bit of a takeaway from my presentation today. So given that it's just post-lunch, let me begin with something a little bit fun. Just a disclaimer, I won't just touch on work, because as the topic suggests, there is no such thing as just work. You know, our life, it's very hard to compartmentalize our life as, oh, I'm working now, or I'm not working now. It's not like during the industrial age, you know. You clock off at 5 o'clock and boom, you're home and there's no work. But I think we all can agree, especially in times of COVID, that a lot of that lines of work, playtime, family time, social time, even whether it is in the natural physical world or on cyberspace, everything is blurred. And so in the same way, I think we embrace that. So, as I was saying, something fun to begin with. And this will show my age very quickly. I know I look young, but I'm not that young. Just a quick disclaimer about the future. Now, the future seems very big, right? And we can encounter it, we can deal with the future in many different ways. For most people, you know, this is a bit like Albert Einstein will say, why should I worry about the future? It's going to come anyway, right? And this is in reality how most companies deal with the future. We just don't want to think about it. It's too hard. It's too difficult, right? Or the other way you can think about it, look, you know, we need to, if we fail to plan, we will plan to fail. We better prepare for it. We better make, you know, all contingencies, scenarios. What is the right way? There is no right way if you're looking for the answer, all right? So that's how I will begin. So something fun, let's talk about this movie that came out in 1985, okay? Back to the Future. And I bring you to this because I want to show you how hard it is to predict the future. It seems fun to do, but it's actually really difficult to do. Take, for example, in the movie, we talked about robots, walking dogs. We talked about flying cars, you know, fusion engines. We talked about anti-gravity moving devices and everything to make our life so easy. But in reality, so this was supposed to be in 2015, and if that was our benchmark, humanity didn't do very well, right? We kind of, you know, got some things right, but for the most part, we didn't do quite well, right? What about in the area of work, right? Okay, so we talked about video conferencing. Yay, we got that right. At least one out of how many? That's great. But well, we don't get fired by fax machines. And thankfully, the world has moved beyond that. In fact, we have surpassed what the movie has predicted in our lifetime. And that goes to show you, you know, predicting the future is really impossible. Okay, let's put it that way. It's impossible to do. So I'm not going to claim to be able to tell you what the future is going to look like, but I'm going to tell you how you can prepare for that future, regardless of what the outcome may be. And I think that's what should preoccupy us, more than trying to guess what the future will look like today. All right? So just taking a quick study at McKinsey. So I bring this out. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But basically, COVID, the pandemic, has accelerated the trends that we were already living in. So what are the trends that it has accelerated? Things like hybrid work. I'm sure all of you had to work at home, wherever you were. Whether you were in lockdown or quarantine, you had to do some work. And this trend, even though the pandemic is slowly becoming an endemic stage, it will continue. And it will take hold. And we may not see it. We say, look, we are in Sabah. Yes, it happens in the US, it happened in Australia, but I don't think it's going to happen here. There will be a tipping point where everything changes in how we do work. So companies, we as the workers and staff, we've had to prepare for that world. What else? E-commerce. And we all saw it, you know, through our shopping habits, going to Shopee, right, and Lazada, and everything having delivered right to our doorstep, right? We're so spoiled. Even the food that we eat, what we want to eat, the dessert that we have, it's all delivered to our doorstep. And this trend will continue and accelerate even more, right? And obviously, there are great implications for people who work in retail, for people who work in warehousing and inventory systems. There will be a huge impact on them. What else? Automation and AI. And how many of you, you know, you've used the AirAsia AI engine, Ava, right? It's no fun, to be honest with you, especially when she changes your flight ticket every day. And I've had that a couple of times already, where she's trying to change my ticket, and I had to tell her, look, do not change my ticket. I want it back. But how do we deal with AI in the future? Because it's going to be a part of our daily life. One moment it's going to be in AirAsia. Next thing you know, it's in buying cinema tickets. And next thing you know, it's in booking your car in for service. So everything that we do one day will be touched by AI and automation, whether we like it or not. And for most people, when they look at this, they say, oh, it's a very deep and dark and sad world, isn't it? Humans being replaced by machines. But that's not how to think of it. The reality is you as human beings, we as human beings, we will not be replaced. Humans are highly adaptable. Humans will change over time. Humans can learn new skills. And as we confront the new way of working, that's the way we have to think. Not what will change, but how do I change with the world? How do I adapt? How do I create new value, right? So, now, all that is happening on a global scale. What about here in Sabah, right? We are all the way at the end of the world, and how is that going to affect us here in Sabah in a local way, especially in the kampong, in the outskirts? How will that affect their lives as well? Now, in order to prepare for a lot of this disruption, I know that we all work for companies, we work for organizations, or we will work for organizations one day. And the reality is, companies here in Sabah do need to invest. They need to invest in the technology, they need to invest in the infrastructure, because everything is moving cloud-based. Everything is changing from the way we do business, the marketing, the reach of the customer, to the way we run our shops, our inventory systems, the way we train our staff. Everything, as you saw in this morning, everything changes with that. But the second one I really want to touch on today is the way we do human resources development here in Sabah. Now, in the past, you were employed as a driver, and that's how you stayed, as a driver of a company for the next 20 years. And if we want to progress as a society, especially with the living costs going up higher and higher, and I'm sure most of you have felt that lately in the past few months, the way we develop human capital has to change. And I'm going to share with you a few insights that we received over the years and why it's so important, right? And finally, developing e-commerce channels. It used to be a cliche, developing e-commerce channels. But I think more and more we are beginning to see that in our daily lives, The way you do business, the way you buy, the way you shop, everything is now e-commerce through an app. Everything is digital. Even the way you pay for money is digital. So what are some of the challenges that I'm just going to highlight very quickly, right? So the first off is our culture. Now, the reality is, the brutal truth is that in Sabah, we don't really have a learning culture. Right? If we want to be honest with ourselves, we do not have a learning culture. We are not a people who love learning very much or growing, but that can change, right? And as HR managers, as leaders of organizations, as people who want to join an organization in the future, I'm sure all of us want to be part of an organization that is growing and helping us grow as well, all right? So the second one is obviously there's a lot of resistance to change, right? Changing is no fun. Changing is actually very painful, right? It's very uncomfortable. It's scary. We don't like to change the way we do things. So how do we deal with it? And I'm here to say one way to deal with it is make it fun, right? Because learning doesn't have to be painful. And most of us, when we attend a seminar or a training, we think, oh, another weekend wasted in the seminar. But if we can make it fun, it's not wasted, it's time invested in it. And finally, finding the right people. Now, a lot of people say, people are your biggest assets, right? How many of you have heard that before? People are a company's biggest asset, right? I'm a business owner, and I'm here to tell you that's not true. You know what is the biggest asset? The right people. The right people in an organization are the biggest asset, right? And so the key is, number one, how do we find the right people for my company, for my organization, for the team that I lead? But number two is, if you don't have the right people, you make them. And what better way to make them than using development and learning as the tools for achieving that? Okay? So the right people are your most important asset. So just touching on this part here, finding the right people. Imagine organizations and companies that you lead, it's like a bus. you know. And leaders, whether you are the business owner or you are HR manager or you're one of the leaders, key senior people in your organization, guess what? You are driving the bus, right? And so the question here is, who do you want to occupy the seat in the bus here, right? Are they the right people in your organization, or are they the wrong type of people? If they are the wrong type of people, you say, how do I find the right people? Do I need to change some people? Or how do I make the people on the bus better? Now, let me turn the question around then. You are driving the bus. Where is your bus going? Is it going nowhere? Do you have no plan for your staff? Do you have no plan for where the future of your organization will lead? So the question works two ways. Find the right people, but are you as the leader going somewhere? Because if you're not, guess what? Everyone's getting off the bus, right? And we don't want that. We need great teams, we need great companies here in Sabah to move forward. So I'm just going to share a few learnings that our company have over the years, and hopefully it will benefit from you, benefit you and your organizations. And not for those of you who are looking for a job, hopefully it will challenge you. This is the type of organization that perhaps I would like to work in, right? Okay, so here we go. So Borneo Eco Tours and Suka Rainforest Lodge, just a quick background. We are a tourism company. We also operate an eco lodge in the middle of the Kinabalu area. And in 2014, we were recognized by National Geographic as a key unique lodges of the world, one of only 50 lodges in the entire world. And the question is, how did such a small player in the middle of a rainforest here in Borneo climb up to that stature? And the key is people. Developing people, developing the greatest asset, which is your right people, will get you there, right? And it's not that we have anything less than people in America or South America or Africa. We have the same thing, the same resource, the same education level. We speak the same English. But yet, why are we not able to achieve that? I'm here to say we can, and we must, right? So another award that we won over the years is in 2017, we won a HRDF award for the best service sector SME in Malaysia. And the backstory to this is, a few years ago we said, hey, let's set ourselves a challenge. Can we do better in how we manage our people, right? Because people is an asset. And if you invest in them, if you grow them, if you help to foster a great culture within the company, it can pay back a huge dividend. And so the result, so this is not the reason we do it. This is just a result, one of the outflows from that effort. And my HR manager put in a lot of effort into it. Now, I'm here to share this not because I want to boast or anything. I just want to show you it's easy, it's simple. But doing it has a huge impact on your organization and your companies. But you just need to decide, I want to do this, I want to create this sort of system within the company. And honestly, as a business owner myself, we look at the profit, we look at the loss, we look at the cost. And I can tell you it's worth it. And as a business owner, if you're not doing it, perhaps this can challenge you. That's where we want to go. Now, the thing about learning is people are all different, right? Everyone is different. There is no formula for learning. There's no formula for growth. And the challenge is you need to create something that is for everyone, right? Everyone, from the person who is the driver to the person who is the knowledge worker in the office to the senior managers, everyone has to grow. Because if I, as the boss, is not growing, how can I expect my team members to grow? How can I expect my frontline staff to grow? And that is a challenge. And so what you do is you create a multi-tier training system, right? For different levels of your organization, whether it's self-development, team development, or leadership development for your leaders in the organization, right? And it doesn't have to be boring. Most people think training, development, it's boring. Make it fun. Make it accessible. Make it simple. Play. Have fun. Grow here as a family. Learn here, right? Okay? And what you do is you can set up many different things, right, under one banner. Some of it can be work-related, and some of it doesn't have to be work-related. So have your team go over the ideas, and my key to you is don't do it alone. Involve your team members in the process of creating it. As I said, my HR manager spent a lot of time working it out with the team, brainstorming, coming up with great ideas, right? Okay? Make it simple, as I was saying, so that anyone can follow it, from the oldest to the youngest, from the least literate to the most literate ones, right? And second of all is, it doesn't have to be about work. As the panelists said this morning, right? The best training is a holistic training. Talk about savings, talk about investing, talk about health, talk about losing weight. You know, all sorts of things are very beneficial because what you want in your company is a holistic company, right? We don't want to be only profit focused because then we are not a caring organization, right? So come up with lots of different ideas and a lot of different things in how you do your training. Have activities, participate, right? We do team building activities as some of the people in this morning, the panelists were offering. Do team building, do in the office, do classroom setting, do virtual meetings, do all sorts of activities that you can have. And if your company doesn't have a recreation club, society, well, create one, right? Because it has huge benefits, not just for the company culture, but for the morale of all the staff, right? So wouldn't you want to work in a place that is fun and you actually get to grow as a family with your peers? This comes a bit of a boring part. Record what you do. They say, what you don't record doesn't get done. And the reality is, it's true. If we record and we say, look, today we're going to do this training. Next week we're going to do that training. And the week after we're going to go for a strategic team meeting. It gets done. And when you look back, when you do your benchmarking in the end, you will be able to say, wow, team, we did all that. Isn't it a good year for us this year, right? And, you know, most people, when they think about training, so I'm speaking to the leaders of organization here today, they said, hey, 2 days is not going to change people. But you are starting off wrong. The whole point of training and development is not to change people, it's to grow people. And you know, from watching your chuchu, chichit, and your sons and daughters grow, you don't change overnight. You grow a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit every day. So what you're looking for is that little bit, right? That is what counts. Are you growing or are you shrinking? And that is the point of the whole process. Okay, so measure what you do, plan it, right? The other idea is recruitment strategy. But every company does this, recruitment strategy, right? Every single organization that is big, they do this. But guess what? That's all they do. Recruitment. Recruit, you leave, I recruit, you leave, I recruit, you leave. Why? We can do more in Sabah here today, right? Let's start out by having multiple programs, right? Internships, scholarships, apprenticeships. Start by creating lots of different ideas of how you can find the people who are right for your organization and absorb them over time. Now, I know with the minimum wage coming in, there exists a huge gap, right? It used to be minimum wage is 1,200 or 1,100, and now it's 1,500. And so how do I get people into my organization who are green? They don't know anything. They have no experience. Why not create an apprenticeship program? You bring them in, whether it's on industrial training, you train them, you teach them, you invest in them. And if they're good, you absorb them straight away, right? And this helps to bridge the gap between from knowing nothing to being able to be part of your organization. Now, we should spend more on our retention strategy than our recruitment strategy. But the reality is we don't, right? Most leaders, yeah, you can justify recruitment, but retention, it's hard to justify. And for the HR managers out there, if you want your bosses and the leaders of your organization to support you, you need to tell them how much it's costing them in not retention of staff, right? Because the turnover in actual fact costs a lot of organization resources and time. So come up with different ways of how you can help your staff so you can retain the best ones, right? Okay, and let me go back. Now, what is the use? We do all this if we don't record what we do and we benchmark ourselves. So do all that you do, but record it, benchmark yourself against world's best practices. Then only you know how are we tracking. Because at the end of the day, you are not comparing yourself against Nestle, against all the big organizations, or against the tech companies, the Googles. We are benchmarking against ourselves, right? At the end of the day. Did we do better this year than last year? Is our retention better than other companies, competitor companies? If it's not, then you know you need to do something about it. And that tells you, you don't need a consultant or someone outside to tell you, look, your company is not that good to work with. You can just see it from the data itself, right? So the second last thing is you need to have fun activities. So definitely if your organization, it doesn't matter if your team is 5 people or 500 people, you need some place that you can do things together and grow together. And so definitely creating recreational clubs, societies helps a lot in building that, fostering that culture that is very team-like. The other thing I want to touch on is that most companies do not do in Sabah is, do you have a career plan? Right? Most companies just say here, look, welcome to the team, welcome on board, great, you know, welcome to the team. And that's it. But in our organization, we plan everyone's career. It doesn't matter if you are a driver, you come in as a training driver, we say, look, great, you're a training driver, we want you to go into, after that, drive the van, then drive the bus, then maybe learn other skills like guiding, being able to drive and guide. So have a career plan for all your team members, because if people don't have a direction that they're going to, they get lost very quickly. People get lost in big organizations especially. And so you need to show people the way by planning things and showing, look, there is a future in this company if you can stay, if you're willing to stay and invest in it. If they don't see a future, why are they going to train? Why are they going to develop themselves? Why should they attend your seminar and training and they contribute to the culture of the company? They won't. The best people will all leave. And so if you don't want your best team players to leave, create a plan for them of their future. And if they like the plan, let me tell you, they don't need you to convince them to stay. They will stay themselves. And they will convince people around them to come into your company because your company actually looks at the future. So with that, I think that wraps up all I have to say. And I hope that each of you got something from my little session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy, for an excellent coverage. For those of you who may not know where Timothy operates from, you all know where is Sukau or not? In Kinabalu. It is not the modern day youth dream place to work. You live in the jungle with the monkeys, the elephants and all this. But Timothy has turned it into a very exciting place. All because you can see he walks us through all his program. I think many HR departments don't have such an elaborate coverage like what Timothy has shared with us. That's why they are one of the outstanding success award-winning destination. I've been there once and I love it, but not for long. I'm a city man. So he has faced very difficult challenges to recruit staff and to retain staff, and yet he has no problem doing that. So we should learn from Timothy's sharing how to, address. What I see to sum up is that he has made the work exciting, okay, in his own ways, and he involved the whole team, not just the HR and the staff. The whole team is involved. And also, he's always having the employees' welfare in his heart, challenging them to realize their potential. And at the same time, he also tracking. You see all the charts he has, tracking how each individual staff is progressing. Of course, not everyone can behave the same. So maybe those who are a bit slower, he may put a bit more care and attention to help them to catch up. And also, most importantly, at the end of the day, whatever we do, it must be measurable. We say we are good, we are successful. How do we measure that we are successful? So he has got all these 5 parts, okay? certain things I like to just comment on is very true. It's impossible to predict the future, right? That's what he said. You see, when we first had the pandemic, I remember in March 2020, the forecast and the experts all said about at least 2 years to develop a vaccine. And now, on hindsight, you know that within 2 years, we move into an endemic stage already. So sometimes the forecast is also not 100% true. So in the light of despair, don't give up. Try to think positively. Whatever the forecast is one thing, whatever we can do to rescue ourselves is everything. And it's true that not all things are bad due to the pandemic. What Timothy has said, it accelerated the trends in e-commerce and automation. I can tell you that I have friends my age, previously refused to use e-commerce, now very happily shopping on Shopee. Okay, shopping a pair of shoes, shopping this, shopping that. And when I was in KL just last week visiting my son, he was busy. So since we are new to the place, what do you want for lunch? You know, so he took out his iPhone, tick, then the meal comes to us in less than 30 minutes. Previously, you would not have been able to get the restaurant to deliver to you because there's no such thing as Grab driver or Food Panda or Lala Move. Now they have this new industry. So all because of pandemic, there are enough people who embrace digitalization and e-commerce, and this new industry sprung up. Many of them earn more than if they were to work as an employee. So this is another problem for employers, losing employers to this new gig industry. And also invest in IT and tech. Those days when we talk about IT, 20 years, 10 years, we think of something very big, wow, computer, very expensive. But this is your IT. Everyone holds it, even the washer lady also has one. But it's a matter of how sophisticated the gadget is. So IT is nothing to fear now. I think if I take away the handphone from you for one day, it's equivalent sending you to the prison on solitary confinement, you know. You feel the pain, okay? So IT is very much with us. So embrace it, utilize it, but of course it also had its pitfall. Don't overuse it. You overuse it, then you become an unsociable person, okay? And then he talked about developing e-commerce channel. And e-commerce channel actually make the SMEs, especially the micro, more effective. Previously, you want to advertise your products. You cannot afford to put a $200 page advertisement in the newspaper. How are you going to publicize your product? Now, very easy. It's just with your fingers, right? If for those who are older people, get a young one to do the e-brochure for you. You can post in the Facebook. And how many people sees it? Many. So that's where you get your advertisement actually almost free. Okay? These are the good things about the pandemic. And likewise, today, RESET is asking us to look at things differently from those days. What used to be taboo, used to be out of reach, now is very much reachable. And don't wait, go for it. Okay? And culture change. Okay? Learning is not painful. Be happy. I've seen some learning that they play games, you know, not really teaching you from sitting in the classroom talking to you. So all those are new ways of engaging with the trainees. And right people is the best asset. I think true. That's why CEOs get paid a lot, because they are the right people to lead the organization and to achieve the results. And then the employers developing the right people. Yeah, employers must do the lead. They are the pilot of the ship. The employees can only follow you. Okay? So if you don't lead correctly, your employees will go nowhere, or they may abandon your ship. Okay? They also have a very interesting onward milestone, right? Telling the employees where you'll be 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, if you hit certain performance targets, or if you develop certain skills, there you will be. So I think that's very important. Not often said in many organizations. Recruitment strategy, okay? While recruitment is important, but it is equally important that you have a retention policy. Okay? Quite a lot from me. So I'm sure Professor all ready to roll. Professor will share the same, cover the same areas, but in primary focus on workers. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, can I continue? Okay. Are my slides going to be there? Yes, there you are. Now, Saudara-saudari, thank you, Prof. Saudara-saudari, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I look at this topic given to me. I'm going to talk about workers. Tapi there are two words which I think I just give a brief mention. Number one is reset. The word reset. We have been asked to discuss about reset. When you are asked to reset something, meaning something has gone wrong. Kau boleh reset tak itu temperature? Kau boleh reset tak itu aircon? Whatever. So meaning something must have affected or done or happened that, yes, let's look into it. So now we are talking about the workforce. Number two is the word symbiotic. Symbiotic ni actually, it's more to do with biology. There is a Malay saying, melukut di tepi gantang. Now, the word symbiotic nicely describes that. When you use the word symbiotic, you normally say, you talk about something which takes advantage of something or makes use of another something. But now, this word has been used to also be used for us humans. Meaning, the symbiotic relationship between the mother and the daughter has produced this effect. The symbiotic relationship between the university and the industry has what? Okay, that's it. So, I'm going to talk about workers. Can you press one? Thank you. Now, pre-COVID pandemic, I'm going to approach this workers thing from this angle. Number one is I'll talk about the pre-COVID. Number two, I'll talk about what happened during the COVID. And number three, of course, post, which is the Norma Baharu. So, pre-COVID pandemic was, you're talking about the golden years. Golden years for what? Number one is businesses and projects, salaries, perks, and privileges, job creation, job satisfaction, career advancement, and this all leading to full employment. I've got some notes. Our economy was doing very well. Let's say between 1980, 81 to about 2008. Our economy grew, okay, I've got some notes here. Between 1983 and 1996, average 7% growth. 1998, 8.9% growth. 1990, 9.2%. And then between 1991 and 1996, average 7%. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because when the economy is doing well, there's a lot of money. I remember when I came back from London, finished my studies, early 80s, there is no such thing as looking for a job. No such thing. I got employed by UITM first in the beginning as a contract lecturer, immediately. No waiting, maybe a few days. I was unemployed for a few days, still recovering from the jet lag. I got a job with UITM. When I was with UITM, I got a job also. I was called by Petronas. Petronas say, we are opening an office in Kuching. Would you like to work with us? I was employee number 5, the 5th person in the office. There is no such thing like looking for a job. But, okay, the situation has changed. Now, I will just carry on and I will touch on this as we go on. Now, saudara-saudari, 1997, there was this crisis, financial crisis. I'm going to explain to you also why I mentioned this. 1997, especially, I like this date, 21st of July. Two things happened. Number one, the stock market crash. Index fell below 800. 21st July, you can Google. And the second one, 21st July, I was actually driving from Kuching to Brunei because I got this small project in Brunei. I was going to be doing some consultancy with the Brunei equivalent of Intan, Institute Taberan Awam Negara Brunei. I was going to be there for about 2 weeks, so I need a car. So I drive. What happened? 21st of July, the AP, you know when you have this Jerubu and haze and the API index, pollution index, tadi stock market crash below 800. The pollution index rose above 800. Magic. Now, I mentioned it because we were not able to drive. You cannot see about 50 feet. I call RTM, that was in the morning, I call RTM, can you please broadcast on your radio and tell the whole country that Jerebu ini tengah teruk and tidak boleh memandu. Please tell the people to drive properly. And I was in Cebu at that time. So, saudara-saudari, and then after the 97 crisis, now I mentioned this because I used to have a computer business. We made computers. The name of the model was, the brand was HEDGE. The name I actually picked from, there was one company in Australia which collapsed. They were producing H computers, but this company went bankrupt, and I read about it, and I needed a brand for my PC, so kita pinjam, and we borrowed. Okay, 1997, before that, no crisis, nothing, we were doing very well. We were selling, I give you an example, there was one private college, they bought from us 200 PCs. And 200 PCs, one PC, the profit margin was 1,000. 200 is 200,000. Petronas bought for Polytechnic Sarawak, 64, they donated. 64 means 64,000. And then Sarawak Library, and then Dewan Bahasa, DBKU, Dewan Bandaraya, Kuching. Oh, we were doing well. And then this economic crisis came. So, December, we sold only one. But of course, the month before that, 2030. But December, one. January 1998, one. Oh, we thought we have to do something. Now, do something means what? When something like that happens, we have to lay off workers. And that's what we are talking about today. We have to reset. And HRD Corp is going to do this. They're going to engage, to come and train and to provide the finances and what do you call this, call trainers and so on, and meet with the trainers how to reset what is happening now. And of course, the big thing about what is happening now is because of the 2 years that we were affected by the COVID. Let me just, my computer, okay, it's back now. So, to cut the story short, we didn't lay off anybody. Kami tidak ada memberhentikan siapa-siapa staff, workers. We decided from a computer business, we decided let's go into education. So we went into education, and it was a good decision. I told you earlier on, I'm a strategist. I look at strategies from so many angles. It was the best decision maybe in my whole life. And then until now, we are still around. We survived. We survived the pandemic. So I'm going to move my slides now. Okay, that's it. Now, there are two slides I'm going to show you. This particular one and the next one. Now, I'm showing you this because this was 2016. This was 6 years ago. Now, in Sidma College, we always have this every year. We do our brainstorming. End of the year or maybe in January, kita akan brainstorm. So when we brainstorm, okay, the year ahead, what to expect, what shall we do with new program, new staff or new department, marketing strategy dan sebagainya. I'm showing you this. Please press the next one. Look at this. That was 2016. Look at this. This was my notes. That particular presentation to my staff, there were 61 slides, and I had these two I want to share with you. And I said to my staff, change is happening in all sectors of our life. It will now happen in artificial intelligence 6 years ago. Augmented reality, I said, health, cars and transportation, education, 3D printing. Just last week, China broadcast to the world, they told the world they are building a dam. Mereka sedang membina empangan menggunakan 3D printing. Can you imagine? Only about 25% of the jobs will be manual, such as maybe the piling works, the sambung besi, ikat sana sini, maybe what else? I don't know. But the rest of the jobs will be 3D printing. Fighting wars. What's happening in the world now? You have this war between Russia and Ukraine, and this war is being fought totally AI, totally augmented reality, totally technology, which is they're using drones. They're fighting using drones. They are using drones there and they're using drones here. You see? Okay, next one is what? Agriculture and jobs. Jangan tekan dulu. I want to share with you this. Okay, this one. Okay, don't go yet. Which is, no, sorry. I clicked the wrong. Okay. I want to share with you a few more. Okay. This reset. Remember, we're talking about reset. I want to share with you, in 1998, Kodak, K-O-D-A-K, big world name. It's just like Coca-Cola. It's just like Levi's jeans. Levi's what, 501? What's the name? Yes, Levi's 501, the most selling in the world. Kemudian apa lagi? It's just like McDonald's, big name. Big name. Kodak. In 1998, Kodak had 170,000 employees. 170,000 orang pekerja. And they sold 85% of all photocopy paper worldwide by Kodak. Within just a few years, by 2002, their business model disappeared and they went bankrupt. So when you go bankrupt, when the company closes, which has happened in Malaysia many times, several times. When the company closes, what happens? Look, 170,000 people lose their jobs. What will happen to you now? That's why we talk about reset. That's why we talk about symbiotic relationship. Now, in our case, I'm talking about workers, but I'm not just going to talk about workers. Please, I will want to also talk about the employer who employed the workers. So last bit here. The last photograph taken using paper film. The Kodak yang you roll to was 2001. Padahal they were so big. So, wait, okay. Kodak, listen. Kodak, like many other businesses which are or going to collapse, they were hit by something which they did not prepare at all. Dia tidak tahu pun benda itu berlaku. Example, the taxi industry. Is your uncle a taxi driver? I'm sorry. Is your uncle a taxi driver or your dad a taxi driver? Tell him now, Papa, change your job. Sudahlah bawa taxi itu. I love you, Papa, but sudahlah bawa taxi because we have all these, what do you call this? Cars sharing, call. Carpool and Grab and kalau dulu ada Uber dan sebagainya. Car hailing. Now, apa yang berlaku? And also touched by Timothy just now. Ini disebabkan oleh sesuatu that you call Moore's law. M-O-O-R-E, Moore's law. Moore's law says that computer processing technology akan double every 2 years and change the way people manage things. Siapa yang pernah fikir, I am going to ask you, what is the biggest hotel chain in the world? And of course you will use to say, Holiday Inn, Grand Continental, Hilton, Pullman, Sheraton, mana ada? The biggest hotel chain in the world doesn't even own a hotel. They just own the technology. You see, I was telling you about that just now, which is cars and transportation. And you have people like Elon Musk. People make cars on wheels. Elon Musk, these people, they make what? They make computers and put it on wheels. And you sit there soon. My son in Kuching, he owns a workshop. They repair Creta. Creta can make accident, all this, they send to him, my son. And I keep telling him, get ready for the day that you will lose business. What? The electric cars. The electric cars have only between 20 to 25 components. Bila rosak sesuatu, replace the whatever, dia bukan macam, it's not like us. I mean, when your car breaks down, the guy has to open the engine. Oh, the piston ring. Oh, the gasket inside there. Oh, it's broken. Buka engine and then to car. No, they just take the battery out, put it there, and then put the new battery. There you pay, that's it, you go. It's as simple as that. I tell my son, okay, are you going to open a petrol station soon? Think maybe 5 times, because in the future, it's no more petrol station. It's going to be, they're going to plug whatever cable into the station and charge the battery and move. I went to Japan a few years ago before the pandemic, and then this person who fetched me, dia punya kereta, it's an electric car, and she said, okay, we have to go and eat first, and rupa-rupanya, we go and eat, actually she wanted to charge the car. It's as simple as that. And then we eat, and then the car was whatever, full, and then we start to drive again. That's happening. Please change the slide. There. During the pandemic, in case you have forgotten, now everyone have their own favorite COVID pandemic stories to tell. I have my own. That is, I quarreled with a police officer near the roadblock. The first day of the MCO, you have to have the permit to travel. And first day, it was a Saturday. I didn't have my pass. And then we were at the roadblock behind Lokawi, going the Jalan Papar Lama. And then roadblock stop, and then pass. I know this guy's name. I love him, don't worry. He's a good man. He's doing his job. His name is Raj, police officer from Penampang. Pass. I said, saya belum ada pass. Boleh ke hari Isnin? No, he said. And then he's doing his job. Everybody is panicky, pandemic. Orang jatuh macam mosquitoes because of the COVID konon. Then he wants a pass. So I don't have. So I don't have. I said, can I bring it on Monday? No, he said. No, the way he said no. Kita orang tua kena teriak begitu kan, Timothy. Hey, tolong. But anyway, I love him. He's a good man. God bless him. Mudah-mudahan dia sihat menjalankan tugas. Okay, so that's smart. Now, can you press 2 slides down? 2 slides down. Yeah. Oh, no, not that one. Hey, look at that. Permit pengecualian kawalan pergerakan PKP. I was going to Kudat. This was 20th of February 2021. Urusan apa? Urusan. Look at the urusan. Mengambil kelapa. Sabut kelapa untuk tujuan perniagaan syarikat. I went to kamu polis kah? Jangan, don't tell them. I went to the balai polis and say, I want a permit. Mau pergi mana? Pergi Kudat. Ada urusan? Ya, banyak urusan saya. Oh, tidak boleh sebarang. No, tidak boleh. You cannot go. And then I ask somebody, apa bagus mau taruh excuse? Dia kata kalau kau letak kelapa di sana banyak kelapa. I put kelapa, go. No problem. Sampai di Telipok, roadblock, tunjuk, no problem. Sampai di Langkon, Kudat, Kota Marudu, no problem. Sampai lagi satu sana, start with M. Gloria, what's the name of the place? Matunggong. Kena tahan, no problem. Because suitable dengan tempat dia. So anyway, so you revise, you rewind. One more, is it? During the pandemic, so what happened? You have all the stories. And some of the people, our people close to our heart, they died. I own a boat. I have a boatman. The boatman died during the pandemic. He was a good man. But, well, sudah sampai ajal, people say. So, I'm not going to say about all this business yang tutup lah, tidak boleh cari makan lah. It's everyday stories. Companies close, restaurants close. We have a food shop next to our college. My brother came all the way from Kuching. He is a chef. We close. I send him back to Kuching. See, and how much we lose money? Of course, a lot of money. Several colleges close. Luckily, we are still around. Syukur pada Tuhan. So anyway, tekan lagi satu. There you are. The effect of pandemic, the MCO quarantine, is the worst job crisis since 1930. What happened in 1930? The Great Depression. Orang kalau di US, a lot of people jump from tall buildings. They committed suicide because they cannot face it. Even in our country, we hear of people who committed suicide also. But what to do? Life is like that. And then the job crisis turned into a social crisis. Why social crisis? Because there's no job. I have one lady who has a daughter studying in my college. They're from Kuching. Before the pandemic, she's working in the bank. Nice, good salary. The one daughter, two children, one daughter, one son, working Air Asia. Another one was working, I don't remember where, but never mind. And then the youngest was in my college studying. Fine. She came here, rented a house, and furniture, and there was a car. They had a car here. Pandemic came. Asia lay off so many staff. Dua periuk nasi tutup. That means she was only the sole breadwinner, looking after this one. Used to be Asia, now not working. This one Asia not working, and this one married, one child. So baby needs milk, pampers, and all. And then now the daughter in KK. You see what happened now? It turned into a social crisis. She kept asking me, Doc, can you help this? Can you help that? We help. The good news is, okay, the daughter is going to be final semester. I think she's doing her practical now. Number 3, widening inequalities. Our purchasing power dropped. Of course it dropped. Because previously you were earning this, and some of us, we had to, what's the word? Catu kerja means we have to rotation, job rotation. Some staff will come for 2 days, some staff will come for 3 days, and the salary we have to cut, and we have to thank per keso for the MPSU or something, per subsidy upah, program subsidy upah. I wish they had continued a bit more, but they decided to give to the tourism industry, but not to education. But never mind. And then stress-related complications increased. Money-related family issues became endemic. Next slide. Okay, remember this? Of course, I love that. I'm going to frame that surat. You know, it's going to be 30 years from now when the grandchildren, the children, they look back, oh, Papa, many years ago, he needed this. So, this is the Norma Baharu. Okay, next one. Norma Baharu selepas pandemic. I have to turn to my slide. Okay. Norma Baharu. That's it. Next slide. Why the need to reset? Of course we need to reset because jobs are changing. The jobs are changing because it has to change. Now, it used to be, now, how many jobs have disappeared altogether? I mean, types of jobs. I give you an example. Taxi driver, going soon. Travel agency. You can just go to your internet bar, book your ticket, book your booking, everything, and you email a team. Hey, Mr. Timothy, I met you during the forum. I want to go to Sukau, see some crocodile. And what else? Cashier in China. Everything, China. In China, even the rural areas, they buy vegetables with the phone. Who needs to bring cash anymore? Kan? It's happening and it's scary. What else? Postman. My God, postman. Masih ada ka postman? What else? A bank teller. 2008 economic crisis, which was the result of some, what do you call this, bank lending rates problem, issues. And then, bila ada crisis 2008, what happened? Banks, a lot of banks had to merge. Bila banks merge, then they realized, oh, the Inanama, that one, that branch we have to close, because we have this. That one we have to close. Nearby also, Kolombong, we have to close because we have that. And then Damai, we have to close. When close means your brothers, your sisters, your family, they are going to be out of a job. So they come to see me. They say, Dr. Moni, I can teach, I think I can teach. Sure. But can I take you? We all, kita pun full. That's the scenario. That's why the reset. Apa lagi? Textile industry. Printing press operator. Legal secretary. Are you doing law? Legal secretary. That job is going. Factory assemblers. HRD Corp. You tell the government, siapa-siapa yang install robots in the factory, put them in jail. We cannot have robots in the factory. We must have people working in the factory because one robot takes the job of how many? Sorry, Prof. One robot taking the job of 10 people. Misery. It's miserable. I tell you, I don't want to read. The list is very long. The jobs which are long gone. Typists. Mana ada typist sekarang? I can type 10 fingers. Seriously. And I made money when I was in Scotland, in university. I made money typing for the students, £1 per page. And during the lunch, during the lunch, I can type 34 pages for some Greek student, homework, sent to him, about 140, sent to print, sent to him. And then he rushed to the professor and give his assignment. He gets whatever marks. And I get £24. What else? Stenographers. How many people are stenographers now? How many people know how to do the shorthand anymore? Wow, it's a long gone. Switchboard operators. Dulu, last time, the telephone, you want to call somebody, somebody must pull the switch and connect there. Somebody pull the switch and connect there. Long gone. Yeah, so many. So, why the need to reset? Because the structure, IT-driven. Jobs are now IT-driven. Managing things is IT-driven. MIS first, people second. It is like that. Next one. How, what, and who to reskill or upskill? It depends. If you are fresh graduate, there's no need for upskill or reskill or whatever. You get employed, and then you start with the whatever minimum salary. Well, maybe a little bit more. Depends on you have diploma or a degree or master or PhD. Okay. But once you are above that, I give you example, the two staff from, the lady who had the daughter and son, Asia, they retrenched, bila they are retrenched, and then try to get a job somewhere. Then what do you know? That's the answer to my presentation now. Because I want to say this. That is, you want to teach, you want to skill, reskill, you want to upskill. First, get the affected employees, the workers, to learn something else. For example, Mandarin. Yesterday, one guy called me, hey, Dr. Moni, I have TESOL. I have master, TESOL. I'd like to work with you. Actually, I'm looking, seriously, I'm looking for 2 English lecturers and 2 assistants. But, there is a but. They're going to teach students from China. So I need, whoever you are, it doesn't matter you are Chinese, or you are Dusun, or you're Malay, or it doesn't matter. You must know Mandarin. I'm not being racist. I'm just trying to be such a normal as I can be. You lecturer, you want to teach with me? Fine, I need to. But you must know Mandarin. I asked this guy, you know Mandarin? Allah, tidak tahu, doctor. There you are. When we were young, we didn't want to learn all this. And then you say, apa aku mau belajar Mandarin? Buat apa? Now you know. Apa aku mau belajar Arabic? Buat apa? There you are. In times of emergency like this, then you have another skill. Do you know how to make mix fiberglass and make something out of fiberglass? We don't know. Learn.
Prof,
yeah.
You are 30 minutes plus.
Okay, 10 minutes is past. I will just quickly. Okay. Quick, no, one more, which is mitigation, betul, the mitigation, the previous one. First is for the government. Government, concentrate on the training, in employment incentive, yes, HRD Corp. Focus reorientation towards training policies, fine. Limit the jobs fallout, prevent detachment of people from the labor market. That one, yeah, you have to brainstorm. Number 2, mitigation. Number 2, for the, ada lagi. For the employers. Bottom line, me, I'm an employer. Profit. I have to. I'm so sorry. And then you complain, you go to the labor, whatever, tribunal, Dr. Moni is doing this, doing that, and he's not following. What can I do? Then next month, I close shop. How many? 98 people closed, no salary, nothing. Students hanging, no place to study. Kan? So, itulah dia. So, restructuring, downsizing, business realignment. Now, next one. Workers, training, multi-skill. You must be multi-skill. You know this? Learn accounting. You know that? Learn Mandarin. You know this? Learn something else. And then digital, IT, software, big data, digital. You cannot run away. And then character building, personality, upskilling, integrity, moral values, the intrinsic values. Iti no borosku, kata orang di sini. That's all I have to say. Prof, thank you very much. Hey guys, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Moni. A very thorough explanation, many cases. So I'll now go straight to our last but not least panelist, Ms. Vivente. Over to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Guess what? I don't have a slide. How?
Manila, those who have questions to ask, don't forget to key into the Slido while Vivente is presenting. Thank you.
Well, they actually asked me to prepare a slide, but I was like, it defeats the purpose of having conversation, right? So, okay lah, I prepare also, but I only have 2 slides. Are they going to? Yeah, okay. Well, I am going to share with you from my own experience. I spent about, I think, 23 years in Peninsula. I was working with Magic before. And then in 2020, unfortunately, before that, Prof. Fu and the rest of the panelists, the organizer allowed me to speak in Dwi Bahasa, so I can reach out to those non-English speakers as well. So in I accept the offer by the state government to come back and set up Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Centre, or SINIC, before pandemic, and 2019. And then, tiba-tiba, pandemic pula. And actually, when I came back, I got this instruction to, maybe you just lay low dulu, Vivi. We don't know what's going to happen, and I don't blame them because there's no template or framework on how do we deal with the pandemic, right? I'm sure most of the business owners here can relate to me. So, but I was thinking like, hey, we can't do that. Cynic basically have to lead by example. That means because kita carry itu nama technology, innovation and creativity. Di saat-saat pandemic ni, kitalah yang perlu lead by example. Kitalah yang perlu be 10 steps ahead. So I was telling my team, you know what? We're not going to sit down and be quiet and just wait and see. And I'm grateful as well, Prof, Mr. Timothy. When I was in Magic, the culture memang, you know, I must say it's different from, I joined Magic in 2014 or 2015, I can't remember. Before that, I was working with MNCs. But the working culture in Magic, so if you don't know Magic, Magic is a government agency, sekarang rebrand ke Meranti. If you know Baby Shark, Do, Grab, those are our students before. So the culture in Magic, basically, sudah work from home or work from everywhere have already started. We have started using Google Drive way before, and I think 80% of our job sebenarnya automated sudah tanpa disedari. So when I came back during pandemic and have to lead this organization in Sabah lagi tu yang kita punya teknologi ni pun mungkin masih lagi, I'm sorry to say, we just need to be realistic. It's maybe 5 or 10 years behind other regions or other states here in Malaysia. So I was thinking, tidak boleh. We have to lead by example. So that is when I have started to, me and my team, well basically I started just a lone prof at that time. So I was like, macam mana we want to make sure that the businesses semua, walaupun during pandemic, walaupun during lockdown, those yang kehilangan kerja masih mendapat bimbingan daripada kerajaan because we have to bawa mandat kerajaan. And that's when we said, hey, why not do webinar, online webinar, just make sure that ada activity, kita buat program awareness of how important is technology. And to me kan Prof, COVID is basic, macam Datuk Syahul cakap tadi, COVID is basically a blessing in disguise because it is secara tidak langsung memaksa kita untuk use or learn technology. My father at 70 years old became a, you can say YouTuber jugalah, dia ada channel dia sendiri. You know, so what I want to share with you is like how Cynic, you can ask my team, I have my team here, we are forced to discover ataupun belajar sendiri what are platforms atau tools yang membolehkan kami masih berfungsi walaupun di kala pandemic. So say for example, I would encourage everyone here including I know the government mungkin ada agak susah sedikit lah. Macam kami di sini kami pakai Google Drive, like Google Drive to share files, even to share database, even to automate kami punya database pun kami pakai juga Google not Google Drive. What is this file? Google Workplace. Yes, cloud. So kami guna Google Workplace. So even like yesterday and today, we sent 2 of our staff to learn about Google Studio. Macam mana mau extract manage your database, participants punya database. So other than that, sebab hanya dengan kerana itu hanya dengan automate your task, then only you will be able to run your business. I had this experience before, like I was dealing with another agency and I was like, hey, can you help me with something? And she said, you know what, I don't have internet at home, I can't access my email, so I can't work. Can you imagine? So sampai macam mana kita mau bergantung kepada keadaan begitu? So employer needs to go beyond than just what's happening in your workplace and lihat apa teknologi baru yang dapat automate kerja-kerja kita seharian. So when I was with Magic, kami memang biasa pakai platform-platform yang dapat automate benda kerja-kerja seharian. And in Cynic we don't have any problem. Even work from home pun we can still work macam biasa. And I would also really like to mention here that I think every employer must empower your staff. especially your HR department. Especially in Cynic, we call our HR department as people department. Empower them and let them to, I think we need to reevaluate what is our culture at work. So we need to be agile, we need to be more flexible, we need to sentiasa melihat 10 steps ahead ataupun, you know, apa ini orang bilang macam trend terbaru, how to automate stuff. I remember the first time I know how to do mail merge. Who knows what is mail merge? Who knows what is mail merge? Angkat tangan. Faizra knows what is mail merge. You know when you want to send email, katalah kamu ada 100 orang you want to send email, you have to, in your head now you have to send one by one. Now you know ada teknologi yang membolehkan kamu hantar 300 hingga 1000 email with just one click. Do you know that? So benda tu sebenarnya hanya memerlukan, you know, can be done in just less than, I can say, 1 minute. So benda-benda macam ni lah employer kena lihat dan kena belajar and have a conversation with your people department, with your HR department on how can you look at any platforms that can help you to automate stuff. But that also is, means, I must say, a bad news for some of us lah. Because bila kerja-kerja dapat di-automate, maksudnya akan makin berkurang lah kerja-kerja di pasaran. Contohnya, if you know, last time Prof, when I just finished my degree, I got a job with Citibank sebagai data entry. Nowadays, they don't have that anymore. Kan? So sekarang ni mana ada lagi data entry job, if you pergi job street ke apa, there's no data entry job anymore, because it can be automated already. So all of us, saya nasihatkan kepada, tadi I had a conversation with a few fresh grads juga, don't be comfortable, step out from your comfort zone and start looking at the emerging trends. I would suggest that you learn about digital marketing. I have one, my team, we sponsored her to go for, we had an MOU with AirAsia Academy. So basically we are sending a few people, Faezra, I have Norsida here. We send them for a free course. So Faezra, I think you are learning about full stack developer, cyber security. And one of my team is learning about digital marketing. So start looking at the trend and learn. It doesn't matter, walaupun your bachelor's degree in maybe in tourism, but trust me, the new skills tidak rugi pun kalau you all semua belajar. Because nowadays you basically have to master, kalau tidak semua pun, don't master just one skill. So I would suggest everyone to start looking into online platform, like contohnya kita ada AirAsia Academy, kita ada apa lagi? We have Elevate here. Elevate is a company in Sabah where they are champion in tech-based programs. If you wanna be a software developer, if you wanna learn about cybersecurity, digital marketing, AI. Semua tu you can go for their course lah. So Cynic pun kita ada program-program yang membolehkan kamu semua belajar tentang what are the latest trends and technology yang ada sekarang ni di Sabah. So I don't want all of you, all the fresh grad semua berada di zone yang selesa. Maybe you can communicate with my team, Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Centre ataupun Cynic. Kita ada banyak program-program, bukan sahaja dalam bidang teknologi, but also creative. You want to learn about animation, you want to learn about filmmaking, you want to learn about drone, come to us. We also have KKIP Aerospace Training Centre here. Come to us and you know, you can have a conversation with us. Now, I don't want to be speaking alone lah, Prof. Is it okay if we can start getting the audience to ask questions? Will that be okay? Or anyone wants to ask question? Mau minta nasihat dari Prof sekalian kah about, you know?
Okay, so you covered your presentation, correct?
Yeah. I basically ditched my presentation, but you know, basically that's about. I mean, I concluded to what I was saying just now lah.
Okay, we'll get some audience questions involved because I cannot see whether they are still dozing off. Good to answer some questions. Can I have questions from the Slido, please? Yeah. Come again. Should be coming up here. Just take one or two questions.
Ada questions sudah? Not oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, we'll do the pre-question first. We have a few more things to ask the panelists. We just finished covering those main areas that I think the audience would like to hear. Okay, I have some very interesting one, although a little bit might have been touched on by the panelists. Okay, let's look at the worker side. Maybe I ask Prof. Dr. Moni. What's the importance of qualifications such as diplomas and degrees are slowly diminishing? So how should individuals be thinking about their skill sets?
It's not only the importance of diploma and degrees diminishing. We have to follow what MOHI, Ministry of Higher Education, whatever they say, kita kena lulus, they approve, and then we run. But let me be honest with you. The programs which are now on offer, whether it's public university, whether it's private college, private university, a lot of these programs memang banyak terpaksa dirombak. The importance of diploma dengan degree ini sebagai kunci sahaja. It's only a key. You get your diploma, you get the key to enter the job profession. You get your degree, you get a key to attend interview, and you pass the interview, you get a job. That's all. Beyond that, then it has to be many, many more things. But now, we used to look at it that way, Prof. Now, no more. Sekarang ini, kalau kita interview staff, the biggest thing, kalau dia ada energy, kalau dia ada intelligence, but I look for the third one first. That is integrity. They fail the integrity, you have the best intelligence, you have the best energy, rajin apa, I'm not going to take. You cannot take your integrity. Because we need somebody who will be, the word is takut pada Tuhan. That's the word.
Okay. Anyone want to add, Tim?
I want to add maybe.
Okay, please.
To me, I love this word empathy. I think empathy pun sangat penting. Because nowadays we are so like, less communication, more technology, less communication. Sehingga kan I feel like the younger generations now, mungkin apa yang kurang from my own observation lah ya, Prof, empathy. So I think as I would agree with Prof Moni, integrity penting. My opinion, empathy is equally important. The ability to, basically merasa ataupun be in somebody's shoes, like macam mana, Prof? Like if you want to add, like basically the ability to melihat apa the other person are thinking or feeling at the same time from their perspective. Yeah, not only from your perspective.
Okay, Tim, you want to add on?
I guess just to round it off, usually, oftentimes we think of recruitment as very transactional, right? I'm hiring you for what can you do for me? But I think sometimes we should turn around the question and say, oftentimes, to be honest, as an employer, I hire for character more than I hire for what skills you have or what it says on your paper. Because at the end of the day, you are not just your paper. You will grow, you will learn, you will change, and it depends on your character. So if you have a character who likes to learn, who likes to read, who likes to grow, that for me is worth more than what it says on your paper. Yeah.
Okay, as a add-on to that, is there any core competencies that any of these employees should be aiming for? After hearing what you all commented about the degree and all this, any core competencies that can cut across?
For me, it's just a learning mindset. If you have a learning mindset, anyone can hire you. It don't have to be in your line of work. If they see you like to learn, you are a fast learner, you like to grow, anyone will hire you.
Totally, I would agree with that as well. Learning, the always want to learn. Walaupun kamu mungkin bukan expert in one thing, I know, I think my super intern baru lepas ni, I think I was having a small, bukanlah, because he tidak familiar lagi with the task here in Cynic. So, but she didn't basically give up, and she was like, okay, I'm going to learn it. And after that, she is mastering the skill. So I think I would agree with you. The attitude of apa ni? The learning attitude, wanting to learn more walaupun you are not expert in that particular set skill.
Core competency. Me, I go for IT knowledge, computer knowledge. You have software, better still. You have double skill, different skills. You are good with something, but you are also good with another thing. I go for those things.
Okay, we'll just take one question from the Slido so that they get involved. How to build a learning culture among employees, making them more self-directed on top of the training employers sends them? Anyone on the attempt?
Maybe, okay. Tengoklah perempuan ni banyak cakap kan? No, okay. I'm reading here on top of the training employers send them. So, how to build a learning culture. So, I will always have conversation with my team. Like, what do you want to learn? Because I can direct or I can instruct them to, okay, go for this. I want you to learn this. But at the same time, I want them, because they know their job the best, right? They know what they're doing. So say, for example, I have a beautiful lady here, my colleague as well, Norsida. Norsida, where are you? Sorry. So I asked her, what do you want to learn actually? Because dia punya degree lain. What do you want to do actually in your life? So she said, you know what, I want to learn more about digital marketing. And that's when I've decided to, okay, you go to AirAsia Academy, you learn about digital marketing. And I think she's almost graduating now. So I will always have that conversation with my team. Which area do you want to grow? What do you want to learn? What do you want to achieve in life? And from there, we will negotiate and see, you know, how can the employer help. It's not just employer, hantar pergi sana sini, but do ask them, what do they want?
Anybody want to comment?
This learning culture among employees ni, dia sebenarnya tengok staff juga, tengok kaki tangan juga, tengok workers juga. Because not all will have that mindset yang akan mahu ada learning culture. Maybe I start with this. I put on the wall in our office where the staff come in to during the attendance in the morning. Maybe I put something there. What if we are no longer today? Bagaimana kalau kita tidak wujud besok? What will you do? Okay, then maybe it sets them thinking. So, in order to prevent disaster from happening to the individual worker, the staff, then maybe they want to do something. Maybe.
Yes, and on the practical side, you know, because it's not our culture to learn. You ride on the bus, no one reads a book. You ride on the train, everyone's watching YouTube. So how do you create a culture when it's not a natural culture? It's hard at first. And the reality is you have to impose it in the beginning. And it's not just in how you teach and training, it starts at every level. When you do a recruitment, you tell people, we are a learning organization, we are a learning company. So if you join us, you agree to learn. And it goes all the way right to the top of the company in whether the leaders are learning. Because if you're not, people can see that you are not sincere. So everyone has to change the way you do things and become a learning culture.
Would you like to answer the next question directed to Bonio?
Yes, okay. So as you know, tourism has been very heavily affected by COVID. And I'm sure a lot of you are curious, how can a tourism company survive such a earth-shattering event such as COVID, when you go from a full revenue to zero revenue overnight? And on top of that, you have to do a lot of refunds. And what do you do about your staff? And how do you treat them fairly in an empathetic manner in the midst of such a huge challenge? And for us, it's obviously a big question we ask ourselves every night. And so in the direct answer to this question is, how have you do with retrenchment during MCO? And the answer is yes, we did a little bit. The vast majority, we started out with 170 staff pre-pandemic, and out of 170, those who were less than 1 year, we retrench and we pay them benefits. Those who are more than 1 year, which is 95% of my staff, we actually put them on unpaid leave with the help of the government benefits, paying them ERP. All the while, we agree that we will pay them 2 months full salary, no question asked, no work need to be done, in order for them to go and get other jobs. Because at that time, the MCO lockdown haven't hit yet. So we actually pre-plan that they need to find other jobs before the MCO hit, so that they are ready to face a new challenge. Because the reality is, like I say, the future is unpredictable. No one knew at that point how long the lockdown will be, how long it will take for it to become endemic. And sometimes, as leaders of the organization, you have to make hard decisions like that. The great thing is, when you make those hard decisions, when it's time to reopen like we do now, most of our staff return to us because they see that we have treated them fairly, we have thought about their needs, their families' needs, and we actually it does cost us money. We actually have to hire HR staff in order to apply for all the benefits they're going to need, the SOCSO, the wage subsidy, the ERP, in order to help them get through a difficult time. And on top of that, we actually check in with them on a regular basis. How are you guys doing? Are you struggling? Do you need help? Can we help you? Do you need help with finding other jobs during this time? So when employers go out of their way to do what they can, I think employees actually see that, they appreciate that, and they will pay back when they decide to return later.
Thank you. Let's go back to our prepared question first. We keep the one, come back to Slido later. COVID-19 pandemic has triggered many people to work remotely. So in fact, big organizations are implementing work from anywhere. So is this realistic in our Malaysian context or in Sabah context? How should employers be adapting to this? What are your comments? Yeah.
I guess I'll answer that one because we had first-hand experience with that. Now, organizations often ask, I can't afford for people to do hybrid work, remote work. And I would turn the question around to them. Can you afford for them not to do it? Because the reality is the world is moving towards that. Mind you, I'm not saying that we should work from home. I say that there is a place for hybrid work in our society. And as the society changes over time, that will become a commonplace thing. So where sometimes there is work needed to be done at night or sometimes on the weekend. And for companies, we need to allow our staff to have that infrastructure, which means we have to invest in laptops, which means we have to move to the cloud, our systems, which means that the way we do some processes actually have to modernize to allow people to have remote work. Because like I say, sometimes if you don't prepare yourself for that outcome, one day it will happen and you are not prepared. Just like COVID, people are at home, they cannot work, and who pays their salary? The employers. And so it's much better for employers, for companies to invest now in small quantities to allow for that day to come.
I don't trust work at home. I'm sorry. Serious. Even online classes. I was teaching one class, and there was this student. When I teach, I want everybody to see the video. Okay, not just the name and whatever camera there. I want to see them. So this student was crying. Okay, crying. But I was teaching, crying. But I know the student's family. So after the class, I was thinking, oh, personal problem, or marital problem, or whatever, husband problem. Is a lady. And then after the class, many hours later, I called the mother. Kau punya anak tadi menangis, aku mengajar dia. Anything? Bukan menangis ba itu, kami ada kenduri ini malam, dia kupas bawang. And it's online class going on. Seriously, I don't trust online class. I never trust. I'm so sorry.
Prof, kita lain pendapat pula. But to me, you know, whether you like it or not, the workplace punya scenario will definitely change, whether you like it or not. Saya pun sebenarnya not a fan of work from home, Prof, because people, especially employer macam saya, tend to cross the line. You know, after 5 also, I still contact my team. 11 p.m. also, I still contact them. So we tend to cross the line as an employer. So, but I think whether we like it or not, we will definitely have to embrace that. Cuma, what I would suggest here is maybe the employer or the employee belajar apa ni, macam, for example, like myself, I have to learn like when to not cross apa ni, do not cross the line lah, basically, because semakin hari, like, there's no boundaries when it comes to work from home. But I would like to echo what Timothy said just now. I think company should invest in, you know, facilities as well, like maybe laptop. Basically my ex-colleague last time, dia reply saya, I don't have laptop. Everything is in desktop. Masa tu lockdown, she couldn't get the file for me. So I think we need to relook into the framework, into the processes within the organization, and from time to time have an active conversation with your team, or even looking at the trend outside on how you can improve your workplace structure.
Okay, relating to that, from your experience, how do you see the differences or similarities of work in SMEs and MNCs? We are mainly SMEs lah. So if you are MNCs, what do you think? Would it make any difference in the work from home or this sort of new work environments?
I'll answer first. Now, especially SMEs, right? We are small businesses. We are always scared of the MNCs and how big a giant they seem to be. Let me tell you, there are always advantages to being an MNC. But the reality is today, with technology, the balance actually swings towards the side of the SMEs because you are more agile. You make decisions on the fly. You can fail quickly, break things, and learn from it. So there is a lot of advantages, and because of the power of the internet, you have the same reach as the MNC if you choose to use it, whether through Google search, Facebook marketing. And so a lot of the power now has come towards the smaller guys in favor of the bigger players. And so I'd say don't be afraid of the big ones. There are benefits they have, like resources, they have size, they have the economies of scale, but SMEs have just as many advantages these days.
Can I have the Slido, the last question? We'll take the last question about technology. Can I have the Slido on that last question on NFT and, yeah.
I saw big words.
How will new technologies like the metaverse, blockchain, NFTs, etc., affect the future of work, and what type of skills would be most crucial to have? Any comments?
I want to answer this. Actually, whatever is happening now, you talk about metaverse, blockchain, NFTs, it's already there. Whatever change in the structure and the way we manage things, the way we do things is already there. So it's MFTs and metaverse, blockchain, they are actually just among the few, shall I say, products, among the few variations. Now this NFT thing, I was surprised of one thing. My son in Kuching, I was on the phone with him. He said, Papa, I said, Aisha, his daughter is Aisha, Form 1, that time, Form 2. Aisha received money from the mail, and Aisha received a handphone. What phone? Apple phone. I said, wow, siapa bagi dia? Be careful lah, scam. I said, no, dia ini NFT dia cerita lah. So, what did she do? Well, she drew some sketches and then sent to whoever is asking her to draw, and then the sketch belongs to that person, and then that person can do what they like with it. They can share, they can sell, they can make money with it, and because of that, they make money, and they paid Aisha. Look, now this is the way things are happening. That's why I said, if you are in the type of industry which is affected, you are going to be out of a job, ataupun sekarang ini masih blur, masih samar-samar, and you think that maybe a year from now you are going to be not doing anything at all because there is no job, or your job has become obsolete, then that's it. Then you do something now. Then you learn how, like, okay, kalau Aisyah, budak Form 1, boleh melukis sesuatu and send it through the internet and whoever paid her. I used to have one student, one graduate. She was translating transcripts, and the person who dengan dia bekerja ni was in the UK. Apabila this person will send her something, and then dia akan translate and send to that person, and then she gets money. And then I asked her, betul ke? Ya, kau percaya orang itu? Percaya. I get my money. And then kadang-kadang Prof dia bilang, sebelum lagi saya hantar yang ini, sudah ada email. I have another job for you. You send that one, I have another. You see? Now, can you imagine? This is the way things are happening. Your father is a taxi driver. I'm sorry, mungkin susah sikit mau ajar dia how to use the internet. Sudah dia translate. Tapi the majority of you, the majority of us, the fact that you are in this room, we can do something about it.
Okay, thank you. I think the time is almost there.
Prof.
Can we have one final word? If there's one thing in a nutshell you would like the audience to take away, what would it be?
I'll go first. In a changing world, it's impossible to predict the future. You think it's going to look like that, and the reality is it turns out something completely different. So I'd say the best skill you have, and the skill that if you're an employer that you need to look out for, is adaptability. People who are able to change on the go, people who are open to new ideas and changing and growing themselves. So if you are that person, that employee, you need to get that skill, because that is the most important thing in this new day and age. So regardless of what happens, all the new technologies, whether blockchain comes about, whether we have the metaverse, you are able to adapt. No use spending time trying to predict, just be adaptable.
Me, don't rest on your laurels. Do something and do something now. I tell you, you know this thing that worries me about this Ukraine-Russia war? The minute it goes nuclear, Timothy will maybe close, maybe our college will close, the government has no money, everything will be put on hold. If you think that it will not affect you, think again. It will affect everybody. Sekarang ini pun makanan sudah semakin mahal, telur sudah makin mahal. 10 days ago, 10 days ago in the internet, the price of one chicken in Singapore, on the shelf, the supermarket on the shelf, 72 Sing dollars, 200 lebih. I end with that.
Well, I will make use of this 4 minutes 51 seconds sebaik mungkin. Begini, I don't like to use this narrative of Sabah is the poorest state in Malaysia. But you know what? I changed my mind, Prof. I'm still going to use this narrative selagi Sabah tidak jatuh nombor 2 ataupun tidak menjadi juara lagi. Sebagai the poorest state in Malaysia and jumlah pengangguran yang tertinggi di Malaysia. I'm not proud of that. And you have to remember this, 2025, what will happen? Siapa tahu 2025? Kita akan ada jiran baru, Nusantara. Jakarta akan berpindah ke Kalimantan dan nama baru diorang adalah Nusantara. And they will be our neighbor. And Indonesia is one of the biggest giant economy in the world. Dan sebelahnya siapa? The poorest state in Malaysia. And I'm so sorry. I know this is quite sensitive, Prof. I'm so sorry. But you know what? As a responsible citizen of Sabah, I will continue to use this narrative selagi kita tidak bekerja sama-sama untuk kasih, jatuhlah. Janganlah kita jadi juara lagi. Jadi, saya punya nasihat adalah leverage on technology, innovation and creativity untuk menjana semula ataupun menjana alternative income for the state. Lihat kepada South Korea, how satu negara yang kecil, yang lambat masa kita Malaysia maju, I think South Korea is not even there. But now look at them. A giant, right? And they really leverage on technology, innovation and creativity untuk menjana pendapatan negara mereka. So Sabahan semua, especially the young ones, my advice is, you know, as much as maybe you don't like technology and all that, but trust me, whatever you learn today will become obsolete maybe in the next 2 years or 3 years. So every day, macam saya sangat suka apa Tuan Timothy cakap tadi, have this learning mindset. Always, jangan selalu berasa, oh okay bah, asal ada gaji, kerja ada aircon, okay bah. Okay lah, but you know what, you will not be able to give the best for your family satu hari nanti. Kan? Jadi, sama-sama kita, Sabahan-Sabahan semua, belajarlah teknologi, ilmu sains, yang di sekolah start belajar tentang STEM. Dan again, I hope, maybe I won't see this in my lifetime. But I really want to see Sabah tidak lagi menjadi juara kemiskinan. Because baru I think bulan lepas saya lihat ada guru berjalan kaki 18 jam. Berjalan kaki ke sekolah, Prof. 2022, we cannot afford to have this kind of situation anymore. I'm so sorry, terlalu emosi pula saya, but I care about Sabah and the citizen. Thank you.
Thank you for a very attentive audience and for staying throughout with us. I know it's been a long day. And of course, I have to thank the panelists, Timothy, Dr. Moni, and Vivente, for sharing their knowledge and experience with regards to today's balancing three symbiotic elements: work, workers, and workplace. Thank you very much. Over to you, MC.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Fu, and to all the panelists. And that was a very emotional, from the heart, from Madam Viviante. Thank you so much, and it was very engaging. Please give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again. I guess to simplify everything in my own words, I guess to be relevant, you need to step up to be in the game. But no doubt, you have to have the balance. Yeah? So no doubt, technology has significantly improved every aspect of our lives in the last few decades. However, it is worth noting that this impact can be positive or negative, depending on how technology is being used. Therefore, it is important that we strike a balance in our consumption and optimization of technological tools in order to achieve our individual, organizational, and industrial goals. We hope that you have learned how to do this effectively based on the inputs shared by the experts earlier. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the session today. Thank you for joining us today. And if you feel like you have benefited from today's session, please feel free to share it on social media to help us create awareness and encourage more future participation. And also, for your information, we have been streaming live right from the beginning of the session today on social media, such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, as well as social media, Twitter as well. So please do share it on all the social media